which is great. So I'm going to mute myself and then I will do that video. And again, you can go ahead and hide your video and mute yourself. And then when that video is complete, pop on in.
So when the video ends, I'm just up.
Yep. You're gonna have to share your video and unmute yourself.
Okay. So stop the video like that.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay, cool.
All right. I'm going to start at 10. Thanks, Benjamin.
Thanks for your help.
Good luck. Have fun out there.
Okay. Bye.
Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Tammy Dorr, President and CEO of the Downtown Denver Partnership and co-chair of And this week, we're coming together to celebrate the past and dream big for the future. We are able to bring Denver Startup Week to this community thanks to our 2021 sponsors. Thank you to our HQ and title sponsor, Amazon. And this week, we're coming together to celebrate the past and dream big for the future. We are able to bring Denver Startup Week to this community thanks to our 2021 sponsors. Together to celebrate the past and dream big for the future. We are able to bring Denver Startup Week to this community thanks to our 2021 sponsor, Quizlet, product track sponsor, Palantir, our designer track sponsor, Battery 621, and the Public Works. People track sponsor, Exactly, and Spotlight event sponsor, Strat Labs. Our headline event sponsors are bringing the excitement to the week. Thank you to B-Side Fund, Colorado Public Radio, Comcast, Coors Brewing of Denver, JP Morgan Chase, Method, Moss Adams, Pi Insurance, Promontory Mortgage, Path, Southwest, Tattered Cover, and VF Venture Foundry. Finally, thank you to our partner and member sponsors, all listed on the screen. Please say thank you to these companies as you enjoy our hybrid Denver Startup Week. And don't forget, use the hashtag DenStartupWeek to share your experiences and moments of inspiration on social media. Have a great week.
Hello, I'm Sal Gentili, CEO of Friday Health Plans, and we're proud to sponsor the growth track this year at Denver Startup Week. We're a company that just entered a rapid growth phase, so we felt it was particularly appropriate. When my business partner and I started Friday Health Plans 5 years ago, we knew we wanted to create a company that catered to people who bought their own health insurance. The Affordable Care Act was just getting going, and we saw an opportunity to serve a brand new market of health insurance consumers. Independent consultants, startup groups, gig workers, service industry workers, designers, creators, and other independent professionals, like many of you here today. We knew that if we built a health plan that was simple to buy, easy to use, had great customer service, and most of all was affordable, we could compete against the big insurance plans who only focus on serving big companies. After spending 5 years getting into the Colorado market and completing a successful proof of concept, we successfully closed a $50 million round of growth funding earlier this year. We're now about to expand to 3 additional states later this year, hire more than 400 employees to support our growth, and eventually be in more than 10 states by 2025. I wish each of you good luck in your startup and growth pursuits. And as you think about your upcoming health insurance needs, I hope you consider fellow growing startup Friday Health Plans. Open enrollment starts November 1st. Check us out at FridayHealthPlans.com.
Hello everyone, welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Jake Cohen, the Growth Track Chair and member of the Denver Startup Week Organizing Committee. Thank you for joining us for the 10th anniversary of Denver Startup Week. At Denver Startup Week, we strive to make all of our sessions a space where attendees can connect, learn, and grow. Regardless of age, gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, or sexual orientation. A special thank you to our sponsors for their support in helping us to keep Denver Startup Week free and accessible for all. Thank you for joining us and have a great week.
All right, what's up, everybody? This is your 10 a.m. session entitled Video Wins Eyeballs, a crash course in video data and how to drive results. Just want to make sure I can be full screen here for you guys. Okay, cool. So my name is Benjamin Jones, and I'm the executive producer and founder here at Image Brew. Image Brew is a creative studio that develops, elevates, and inspires. And what that means is we're a video production company that produces connected TV ads, broadcast TV commercials, and a whole lot of online web video content for a wide range of clients across a really wide range of verticals. And one thing I'm most proud of about what we do is before any production begins, we do a lot of consulting and hand-holding for our clients. And, we get to ask a lot of really good questions such as, hey, why do you want to produce a video right now? Why is anyone going to care to watch this video? How are you going to make this video be different than your competitors? And I really love asking those questions and really helping those clients. So hopefully today I can share some of that passion and experience that I have with you all with some of the subject matter that I'll be diving into. And I will say, really proud that this is our 15th year in business. We're personally no longer a startup, but it's crazy. I just really can't believe that I've been in business for 15 years. I started the company in 2006, and that's a relevant year because 2006 is the year that YouTube launched. And I was confident back then that hopefully at some point in the future, the magic of online video and how it can inspire people would be accessible to all businesses. And it took a while for sure, but I think we're at that point now, and that's really exciting. Okay, so a little bit of background on me, just so a stranger's not blabbing at you today, and then I'll jump into some slides. I am from New York originally. I'm from Western New York. I'm from Rochester. I went to college in Buffalo, New York. So anyone who's familiar with the area, all right. Lucky enough that I have a wife and two little kids. I have two young boys. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And I like to joke that if I don't have like blood or food, smeared on my face, it's a good day. So hopefully I'm looking sharp for you guys. And I also want to say I'm not a serious guy. I want to keep this light. I want to keep it fun. I might make some bad jokes, but hey, you gotta try to laugh at least once a day, I believe, in order to keep your sanity through small business. And on that note, here we are in the Image Brew studio. Check this out. We are lucky enough that we have a 1,000 square foot studio here at our Denver production facility in the Highlands neighborhood of Denver, really centrally located. And I thought I'd go a little 80s with some blue and magenta behind me here and use one of our nicer cameras and our microphone here. So hopefully it's all working. Hopefully you guys can see me and hear me clearly. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and we'll jump right in. All right. So here we are. Video wins eyeballs, a crash course in video data and how to drive results. The main reason, guys, I wanted to talk about this today was, this is not going to be a big surprise, but video is the choice of consumers, right? We all love watching video, but it's also the choice of consumer marketers, right? So whether you're watching a product demonstration online, video is the way to go. If you want to convey a very complicated topic, such as how does global warming work, video is the way to go. It's also great when you're trying to influence someone on a purchase decision, such as someone who's looking to buy a new car, right? And all these can be done from the comfort of their couch at home. And that's really why I wanted to dive into the subject of online video. What I'm going to cover today, part one, the data. You guys all know what that means, right? But I don't want to go too deep into that, right? This is really going to be data about how popular online video is becoming and how we can use that knowledge of that momentum to better our businesses. Part two, the huge shift in marketing. This is something that I don't think a whole lot of people are talking about, but there has been a big shift in how businesses generate new products or services, but also how we market those with video or without video. But it's worth mentioning, and I wanted to share that with you guys today and at least start a conversation around that, because you guys should all be aware that there has been a shift in marketing that I want to share with you guys. Part three, practical guidance on your video strategy. So this is what I'm most excited about. I'm sure there's a mixed audience today. Some people that have experimented with video or produced video in the past, some rookies. It's all good. I think all of this is going to pertain to anyone out there watching the session this morning. And these are just practical steps that are building blocks of simple steps you should follow when you want to make a video or help your company make a video. And then definitely at the end, let's save 10 or 15 minutes for Q&A, because I think that's really the most fun for me to field those personal questions. All right, part one, the data. So some of this is probably not going to be a surprise to you guys, but let's just go through it. I don't have a ton of this, so don't worry. We're not going to just bury you with data at 10 a.m. In 2019, people spent 84 minutes a day watching online videos. In 2021, people are now spending 100 minutes a day. In 2022, we can predict this will continue to increase. Oh man, hold on, guys. One sec. All right, sorry about that. In 2022, we can predict this will only increase, but the media habits are also changing. This is what I find really interesting. A HubSpot study reports that 54% of consumers would happily watch more video from brands they buy from. So listen to that, brands they buy from. Only 5-10 years ago, the only ads really that were out there were on television. And that's when you go get more food and go to the restroom, and people really tuned out ads. What's a huge breakthrough that's happening is online videos are so catered to audiences that people want to watch videos from brands that they trust and that they're fans of. So I think that's huge, that consumers are really open to watching content from brands that are marketing in nature, their advertisements. And this suggests that video will account for 70% of mobile data usage. 90% of consumers say video helps them decide whether to buy a product or service. So again, huge. During the first pandemic lockdown of spring 2020, early last year, 16 to 34-year-olds consumed less broadcast TV content than non-broadcast online video content for the first time. We've all heard about cable cutting for a long time now, frankly, but it looks like during the pandemic, shocker, that it finally turned the corner and people are now watching a lot more content online. Brands can seize this opportunity by positioning themselves at the intersection of information, entertainment, and sales. And you might have seen that sentence there in the byline of this morning's session. That's something I want to dive into a little bit here. So let's talk about this. Let's just shift gears away from the data a little bit and talk about more specifically when we're creating a video. 3 things you want to think about, the 3 main ingredients: information, entertainment, and sales. Let's just break these down real quick. Information. What do you want to communicate? Keep it simple. A focus on how your product or service helps your customers is a far better approach than boasting features and benefits of how great you are as a company. Keep that in mind. I'll talk about that a little bit more. Entertainment. This brings tremendous value to a video. Can you package this information into a simple story? Can you make it funny, memorable? These are all ways to have your video have a greater ROI. And finally, sales. What's the call to action? What do you want the viewer to do after they watch the video? And these 3 building blocks are fairly simple when you look at them like this, but a lot of people are just slinging videos and uploading content and not even critically thinking about these 3 buckets. And that's a big mistake. And that's why I feel, as a video marketing professional, that there's just so much clutter out there, is that people aren't critically thinking about how to make their video better. I want to use a quick example before I move on. It's important to note that you have to think about where your video is going to play, and that's important. That might shift the answer to all 3 of these buckets. We were approached by a company several years ago. This must have been 5 or 10 years ago. I say that as my disclaimer because I'll show you guys the video. But of course, me as a technical camera nerd, we're using more sophisticated cameras now and things like that. But the video still is very relevant. And this company said, hey, we need a video for a trade show. So again, this was different. They didn't say we need this for online right out of the gate. Of course, after they used it in the trade show, the video was then leveraged in different platforms, such as on social media and online. But this company said, hey, we are one of the nation's largest janitorial cleaning services company, and we want to have a video playing at our trade show booth that shows why people should use us to clean their 60-story skyscrapers so we can win some large contracts. And we said, okay, well, what would you guys like to communicate in the video? What's the information? And of course, like so many of our clients, all they want to do is spew how great they are, features and benefits. And again, no disrespect. This is just a common pitfall that a lot of our clients fall into. So they said, we've been around for 50 years. We're family owned. We use all green cleaning products, right? Blah, 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 blah. Snooze fest. So we said, well, what if we didn't communicate any of that? It's almost like our job is to pull the pendulum away from what they initially think on the surface and see what we can do creatively to still accomplish their goal of getting attention at their trade show booth, but keep it as simple as possible. So long story short, what we did is we pitched them on a very simple idea that was entertaining, where we showed slow motion messes happening in our studio here, a clean white studio. We showed different things hitting the ground and exploding and making messes, mainly office materials. And we, during the editing process, thought it was interesting if we played those in reverse. So the messes are actually going away. So it looks like the messes are being cleaned up or vanishing, if you will. And the sales aspect of this was we played opera music to the video to make it very dramatic. And there was no dialogue. There was no features and benefits, but it got people's attention when they were walking by the booth because they saw this really cool, really visual and entertaining video because it was fun, it was messy, it was different, it was a little bit bold and edgy, right? And it exactly fulfilled their goal of people stopping at the booth. And then when they were face to face with those prospects, that's when they can hand them a brochure and dive into why they're better than the other guy. So let me go ahead and show you this video real quick. It's worth just checking out briefly. 1 second here. All right, there we are, back at it. Hopefully you guys found that interesting. And that tagline at the end, leave tragedy to the opera, we do a lot of that creative development in-house as well. We're not an advertising agency, but we do a lot of creative development and writing specifically for video, and that worked really well for them. Okay, moving on now, data around Videometrics. Now, I hope none of you guys joined this session thinking that I would dedicate the whole 60 minutes to this. You could geek out on this stuff all day. This is not what I'm here for. You know, and I just wanted to touch upon it so that you guys can dig in a little bit deeper if you want, but, and it is very valid to mention here. Aside from the data of how many people watch video online, there's also the data of your own videos. And this is known as video marketing metrics and what you're supposed to do with that data. Now, this only really applies to businesses that are already producing regular video content. The value of these metrics is that it gives marketers the power to improve, right? We didn't offer this service exclusively at ImageBrew. We're more of a creative development and execution partner and handing our final videos off to the clients because they, for the most part, have their own distribution strategies or media buying goals that they already have figured out on their own end. And we often would partner with third-party vendors for our clients who wanted to dig into this a little bit deeper. And these metrics might include tracking the view count, which is a very obvious one, but also additional items such as attention spans, right? When do people kind of stop watching the video? If it's 10 seconds in of a 60-second video, that's not a good ROI. Click-through rates, and really whether the video works or not in generating leads, retaining customers, or realizing revenue. It's pretty cool that this day and age, there's even CRM software out there that can tie specifically to video links that you're sharing in emails, so that if your sales team sends out a video link, for example, you can dig in and see if that prospect even watched the About Us video that you shared with them, etc. So really powerful stuff here. For a deeper dive, I have a link here. Vidyard is a great third-party vendor that really just does this for clients, helping them really mine that data of their videos and how to use that data to tweak the video. Okay, part two, the huge shift. Now, I want to discuss this shift, like I mentioned at the beginning of our session, that's really, I think, been happening over the last 5 or 10 years. And this does not pertain just to video, but marketing as a whole. And I think it's worth mentioning because it also is related to product development as a whole. Now, the old model is a person or a company would create a product, then they would create a brand around that product, then they would market that to their perceived audience and see what the audience thought of that. Somewhat dangerous if you think about it. Right? They're essentially putting in all this time and resources and seeing how the marketplace responds to it. The new model, which is currently what's happening, whether you've realized it or not, but it makes a lot of sense. It's much more efficient, if you will. It's the complete reverse. We start with asking, what does our audience want? Then here's the big change. We create a whole brand specifically catered to that audience, then create the products they are asking for. So, you know, this is just really valid right now. So I have a note here that really sums it up. Not only is this a new way of thinking when we start a business, right? A lot of businesses right now are fully built around what their audience is asking for. And then the whole brand is about that niche audience that are the users of that product. Think of your traditional TV commercial reflecting the old model, right? A Super Bowl TV commercial. There's not a whole lot of data or feedback we're getting from that commercial, right? I think really the limited data that advertisers got through broadcast television over the last 60 years was how many people were tuned in. But hey, you know, guess what? I was in the restroom or I was in the kitchen during your ad. So sorry. Then think of how most online ads reflect the new model, right? It's literally showing you videos you are searching for or curious about. When you find an online video that's typically a paid ad, say a pre-roll ad on YouTube or a paid ad while you're scrolling on Instagram, these are paid for by brands who uniquely want you based on your search history of things that you're interested in, and not your neighbor who has different interests. So I just think this is really worth noting. When I read this earlier this year, I said, man, I didn't even realize this was happening, but of course it's happening, and it makes a lot of sense. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys, wherever you are in your business. Really think about this if you're creating a new product or a new service, and then you want to market that, how that reflects these models. Okay, so now we're going to get right to part 3, practical guidance. This is kind of starting wide with the funnel here. We're going to get a little bit more narrow as far as practical execution steps, but it's good to, again, start wide and really just review some of this stuff. So what are marketing professionals using video for right now? And these are the most common uses that we see. Brand storytelling, right? So this could be anything from a about us video. Some companies call these a culture video. Really, typically higher produced or a more produced video where we're spending a little bit more time and resources in that video, and the company might use that for a longer shelf life, say 6 months to a couple years. Social media engagement. These are typically more quickly produced, more inexpensively produced snippets or shorter pieces of content. A lot of companies do these around the holidays, around special promotions, relevant events, a new product launch, etc. Training. This is really interesting. You know, not all these boxes are consumer facing. Some of these are internal uses. So training is hugely efficient. We, for a number of years here at Image Brew, kind of funny, did the Red Robin internal training videos for their chefs across the country. When a new burger or sandwich would come out, we would quickly go produce step-by-step videos by their head chef here in Colorado so that they could ensure consistency and quality with all the chefs at the Red Robin chains throughout the country would create that new product in exactly the same fashion. Product or service overviews. This makes a lot of sense. I'm guilty as charged, but when I'm buying something on Amazon and I'm not quite sure if I should just pull the trigger and purchase it, I'll watch a quick video. And as a creative video producer, I'm not a snob. I'm not too cool for school. I kind of tune out the quality and storytelling aspect, and it's purely give me the information. And the fact that I can see someone using it in a short video, I don't really care if it's poorly produced even. I just want to see how it works and why it's better than the other one. Internal communications. This, we all know what that is, but I think what's interesting here is everyone has Zoom fatigue. We know this. I'm sorry that I'm adding to it right now for you guys. I really wish we were in person. I think this kind of sucks, to be honest. I'm in my studio by myself talking to my camera. I don't even know if anyone's tuned in, but hopefully if you are, I got your attention. What I think is interesting is with Zoom fatigue, there's a kind of a new model emerging where companies are using video for pre-recorded communication. So instead of hosting a weekly live staff meeting on Zoom, for example, I've heard different executives and company leaders are pre-recording, say, a weekly update about the business and sending that out with a link, and their staff can watch that whenever it's convenient for them. And I think that's huge, right? It's on demand, just like everything else that we love about online video. We can watch it when it's convenient for us, instead of it always having to be live. And then finally, testimonials and case studies. This is a very common usage, right? We all know what a video testimonial is, or a case study. I think that these can be done really, really well. And you see a lot of brands doing this where it's not the old boring talking head case study where someone's just blabbing about how great the company is. Brands are more sophisticated brands are doing this in a really interesting way, where almost in a documentary way, they're spending a day in the life of one of their customers. And again, it's not about the customer talking about how great the company is. It's really just a simple video that shows how the company's service or product is making this person's life better or different. and the product is very subtle in the video. And I think that could be called a really well done case study. Some common questions that you might be asking yourself right now, or your coworker might be asking you next week. Who knows? Should we produce videos in-house or outsource it? Really depends on your business and your marketing goals. I love when I hear companies creating their own in-house video department or video team, or just that there's one young gun guy or gal who's really dangerous creatively, both with graphic design and video production, and is happy to kind of go shoot some stuff and play with it a little bit. I think it's great. I think give those people some support and give them some runway to see what they can come up with. But it really depends on your goals, and that's different for everybody. Another idea is a bit of a hybrid approach, right? Have that young gun person that I just made up, maybe do some of the social marketing videos, because those can be done quickly and very basically. But if you guys want to have that one brand story that you might want to use for a couple of years, that's when you can bring in an outside vendor who can offer more of a consultative approach and help you that way. So I think a hybrid model makes a lot of sense. One sort of pitfall that I know some companies run into if they try to build their own in-house video team is high-end video demand really fluctuates greatly among small to medium-sized businesses. And we've seen this a lot where some weeks that team is producing a lot of content and they're very, very busy, but then there's parts of the year or a few weeks or a few months where there's not a lot of content to be produced. And that's, again, based on the strategy of the company or the timeline of product releases and things like that. So it's very hard to plan for consistent high-end video in-house. And then outsourced teams can be really scalable. It's one thing I love about what we do is we do a lot of shoots where it's either a one-man band, an experienced video producer who can shoot, edit, direct a CEO if it's a C-suite interview or something like this, and it's just one or two guys on the crew. And then we obviously scale up, and a handful of times a year we're doing big national bank TV spots with a 35-person crew and professional actors, and it's really exciting. That's why I love this business. There's definitely some magic that happens when you have a huge team of really creative production specialists, but there's a lot of people that are multidisciplinary and can wear multiple hats and stay very small and nimble. So you can find a big range of scalability with an outsourced team. And I will say this, I didn't have a note in here, but many of you know this, if anyone's watching and they're on the marketing side, there is no shortage of people who can shoot really pretty pictures out there. Even though Colorado is a bit of a smaller media market compared to New York, LA, or even Atlanta, there are literally hundreds of men and women here in Colorado who can produce beautiful content, and you're going to find people across a wide range of price ranges for hire. But I think the one thing you have to be cautious about is a lot of these people have a good eye and can produce pretty pictures, as I like to say, but they're not going to maybe ask you the challenging questions and wear that consulting hat of, hey, before we even go shoot anything, let's just quickly talk about what the end goal is here. And does it make sense for us to do this right now? And let's make sure that this is a good investment for you guys at the time. And I think that's a big difference that you should think about too. When will people want to receive or watch our video is another question. I kind of mentioned this just a few minutes ago. This is the value of what we would call asynchronous communication. People want to watch your content when it's convenient for them. So, we've done a lot of live stream stuff. This is live right now, which is kind of why I'm babbling a little bit. I apologize. I didn't want to pre-record this. I think live is cool. It is authentic, but pre-recorded content is still the go-to. Even with COVID, we haven't been getting as many live stream requests as we maybe thought we would. There's a huge value of having that content recorded and available online for your audience to watch whenever it's convenient for them. Just check the time here. Okay, cool. Part 3, practical guidance. How do we stand out from all the clutter? This is what we would call building digital trust with your videos. And that really revolves around a couple basic pillars here. Simple and good storytelling is essential. 80% of consumers want brands to tell them stories. And that's huge. So really let that set in. And good stories are what create authenticity in the video world. So I think point blank, the way to stand out from the clutter is to be authentic with your videos. And the way to do that is figure out what makes you authentic and focus on that. And this shouldn't be rocket science, guys. I mean, just think about, okay, and again, I don't know what y'all do, but if you have, say, a really dynamic CEO and he or she is amazing to talk to and super inspiring and just personality plus and can really bring it, and you know that they'd be great on camera, you know, that makes a company authentic. Let that person shine. If you have an eye-popping product that when people see it, they're like, holy shit, that's awesome. You know, do more product videos, show the product, you know, that's what makes you guys different. Customer reviews, for example, you know, some companies only do customer reviews for their videos and it works really well. And they don't ever really talk about them and they don't really ever have to get too creative with their storytelling. They just let their customers rant and rave about their product. And I think that's a strategy. So really think about what makes you authentic. 86% of consumers say that authenticity helps determine which brands they like and support. So that's huge right there, right? If you can break through that barrier and be authentic, it's really going to click with your audience. This one's, you know, really big for how short of a bullet it is. Being creative is key. You know, I do think that that's one of the biggest things we help our clients with is just what does the video look like? What style should we use? And that's really one of the most fun parts of my job is when we do brainstorm sessions, right? They give us the information that they want to communicate and we can really just do a whiteboard session where we are just brainstorming, you know, 30 ideas, and then we'll disqualify most all of them because they're all going to be pretty lousy, but there might be 4 that we're like, all right, you know, these are pretty cool. And we never even would have thought of this unless we took some time to brainstorm it and think outside the box. Various styles are just different tools in the toolbox. And what I mean by styles are really just what your video looks like. I'm a big fan of real people on video talking to me. That's what we would call in the production world is live action. All your favorite shows on Netflix, it's live action. It's real people on camera, on screen, versus other tools such as infographics, motion graphics, whiteboard videos was a big thing for a while. Stock footage montages. These all kind of feel a little bit gimmicky, but they make sense for certain applications. Not everything out there that you need to communicate can be shot live action, for example. Sometimes really complex things need to be shown through animation or basic graphics. All right, and finally here, as part of our part 3 practical guidance is talking about a video marketing strategy. So I think this is for any of you guys that want to take 2022 on as a new year to maybe start fresh with some marketing goals, think about a video marketing strategy. And these are going to be some basic steps to follow. These will help you meet your goals and create video content that addresses real business objectives. And that should really be the goal. You know, I hate to say it, but we have, you know, I'll be honest, we've even produced videos for clients where we maybe didn't push them as hard on why they made certain decisions. At the end of the day, they're funding the video and they make a lot of the final decisions, even though we're really heavily trying to consult them and steer them in a certain way. And we've seen them, you know, create videos that, you know, I'll look on YouTube years later and it has, you know, 50 views and you're going, man, you know, that's just too bad. I don't think that really met the objectives that they set. And I think you just have to think back to, they could have been very reactive by making that video. I know we're all under such high stress and high pressure from different departments asking us for different marketing assets that a lot of times we reactively just might produce a video willy-nilly. But I do think it's really important to think about the strategy and think about the objectives of the video before we even hit that record button. So first of all, don't become overwhelmed by it all. Keep it simple. If any of you guys are going, oh man, Ben's just going on and on here and I'm freaking out, just relax, keep it simple. This is all pretty straightforward stuff. And that was my goal here. If you're already off and running and making videos, congrats. One major hurdle is the fear of getting started. Even though video and online video is as popular as it is, I still meet a lot of people who say, oh yeah, it's on my list. I just haven't really started yet. Try it out, perform a test video, try a certain style, see if it works, see if it gets any ROI. And then, these last numbered steps here, 1 through 9, are if you actually wanted to, take this slide and take a snapshot of it. These would be the actual steps you would follow to get a little bit more serious about what a video marketing strategy might look like. I'll just quickly ramble through these. Define your video marketing goals. Again, just write these down or have a conversation about it. This one's pretty interesting. Create a video marketing strategy mission statement, right? So man, that's a challenge. I'm going to try to think of this in one line. Here, I'll make it up. I'm going to make a quarterly video that inspires people to make great online video content. So right there, I'm kind of saying I'm going to make this quarterly, and the goal is to, maybe me talking head on camera, do one of these sessions each quarter to inspire people to do this. So again, I think that's interesting, making a mission statement. Research your target audience for your video, hugely important. Who are you trying to make this video for? Decide what kind of videos you'll make. This goes back to those buckets of, is it a brand storytelling video? Is it a product video, et cetera? Set a video budget. I'm assuming you guys, if we do Q&A, might throw me some video budget questions. This could be a whole separate session, but I think it's important to think about. Set a video budget, just as if you're going to make a video, or just as if you're going to make a budget for any home repair project. It's good to just say, here's what I'm comfortable investing in this. That's only going to help vendors out. Establish who's responsible for video creation on your team. Think about the video campaign strategy. That really means, what are you going to do with the video when it's done? How are you going to post these online? Where will the content live? And then measure your performance. Okay, so I wanted to wrap up here with a quick case study. I'm going to show you guys a video. I will say, full disclaimer, it's a little bit longer than I typically want to show you guys. A lot of people say, and it's true, short and sweet is the way to go. This video is about 5.5 minutes long, but I think it really is relevant because it hits so many of the things I've talked about today. And just a quick backstory on this. We just produced this video only about 2 months ago. There's a large energy co-op in Southern Colorado called IREA, which stands for Intermountain Rural Electric Association. And they went through a big rebrand during COVID to change their name to CORE for a number of reasons. And you'll hear that in the video, but basically their old name, Intermountain Rural Electric Association, is no longer valid. I mean, they're serving Castle Rock, tons of communities out on the Eastern Plains, tons of communities then further west into the mountains. And we were approached by them because they wanted to use this video to show at a large live event this summer, where they gathered thousands of employees and their families outside to tell them why they rebranded the company. And this is, the reason I wanted to show this was, I'm really proud of how it came out, because we did exactly what I always promise our clients, is that we challenged them. They came to us and said, hey, what if we just did a stock video of electrical towers, people flipping light switches, lights coming on in a house, and we did a voiceover script of, it's time we change our name because the future is a new chapter for us. And I said, it's just going to be bad. Like, no one's going to want to watch it. And even if you do a quick Google search of stock video footage, electricity, it's terrible. The results are terrible. And I said, oh guys, it'd be so much better if we could go shoot custom content for you guys. And what we did is we said, what makes you guys authentic? And through many conversations, we discovered that it's hard to show the product of electricity, right? It's basically people just living their everyday lives, and electricity is in the background. So we said, well, what if we spotlit different people in the community who led different lives? Maybe it's someone who's a rancher and someone who's a small business owner. And we just really spotlight them and have them talk about what consistent, reliable energy means to them. And long story short, it worked out really great. The hardest part was finding the characters, because they're real people. So we took a very documentary approach, but the feedback has been huge. They loved it. they were actually in parallel getting interviewed by PBS Frontline, and PBS Frontline saw the video and wanted to pick up our stories and use the footage of all the authentic characters that we interviewed. So that was a real win for them. So let me go ahead and show this to you guys now. That's just my disclaimer. It's a little bit long, but there was mainly some politics involved in this. And that's what made this project a little challenging. They had a board that they wanted to please. They had to say a bunch of different things around why they rebranded the company and why they changed the name. So you'll see a lot of that in here, but it's just an interesting case study. So let me share that now.
The co-op got started, I think it's back in 1938, and it got started like a lot of co-ops get started. It was a group of people. In this case, it was 7 people, including 2 women, in Bailey, Colorado. They lived in an area where the big utilities wouldn't go, and they wanted power, so they decided to start their own company in order to get it. We've gone from 15 miles of line and 23 members to over 5,000 square miles and over 300,000 customers served. And towns like Castle Rock, which were once a dot on the map, are now booming communities.
I grew up in southeast Denver, right along Cherry Creek, and there was an old farm, and loved the rural lifestyle. I make my living in the city, but I like to live in the country. Reliable energy on any kind of acreage is extremely important, especially when you're raising animals. In the winter months, I need to keep their water tanks clear. Summer months, I'm running fans. You know, the lights obviously are important. I couldn't do what I do, couldn't live the lifestyle I live without them.
Having a small business in the same location as my home allows me to have a different kind of work-life balance that I've never had before. This is my bubble. This is literally my life bubble, is all contained within this acre that I have here in Palmer Lake. And so I raise my family here. I have my small business here. My home office is here. I actually don't leave for multiple days at a time. And so I need reliable energy to thrive.
It's our unique relationship to our members that make a co-op different. Our board are all members, elected by other members. Our members have a say in where we go and how we run our business.
I run the community newspaper in a very special part of Colorado. I think a co-op is important, and the reason that I appreciate it is that it's a team, and I feel like my energy provider has that same sense of investment in me and in the community. You know, if I didn't have that confidence that it was going to be taken care of, that the lights would be on, that the printing press would be working, that my computer would be working, then I wouldn't be as effective as a business leader, and it's a big part of my life.
Well, we talk about being out here in Florissant, Colorado, and some of the things that are issues to us, one of those being fire. And we thought, based upon the work that we've done on our property, why not expand that and offer that as a volunteer program to other people here? In order for us to obtain volunteers to come out and help us, we have to use social media a great deal because we don't have neighbors, we don't have sidewalks out here where you can pass the word of mouth. So we rely heavily on our computers and our social media. It's something that maybe I don't even think about, but energy from IREA has been fantastic for us.
In 1984, I was asked, got a call from the co-op, and they asked me if I would want to join them as a board member, and so I did, and I've been chairman of the board for a little over 30 years here. The idea of rebranding is not new. It's something we've been thinking about and for the last 8 years, knowing that we've got to rebrand because we're just a different company today than what we were when we branded it originally.
As we've seen how the organization has grown, we've decided that we needed a new name to represent what we've now become. Quite frankly, we've outgrown the old name. How did we land on the core name? Well, it took a lot of work, but ultimately, we decided to focus on that CO. The CO in core stands for a lot of things. Obviously Colorado, but community, connectivity, and more importantly, that we sit at the core of our community and at the center of the lives of our members. We provide the energy to help people, family, and businesses thrive, which is why we use the tagline, the energy to thrive.
When I think about energy to thrive, it makes me think about my day and what it takes to get through the day, things that I take for granted, those things that are happening behind the scenes that you don't necessarily know about, but you couldn't live your life without them.
Energy to thrive means to me that I can live this rural lifestyle. Without a group like CORE, all my neighbors, myself, wouldn't enjoy the lifestyle we do.
Energy to thrive to me means that I don't have to worry about the energy coming into my home, so I am able to thrive in all the other places in my life.
Energy to thrive to me means that I'm able to run my businesses remotely, which gives me more time to give back to the community through our fire mitigation processes. Community.
Connectivity.
Collaboration.
Colorado.
We are CORE Electric Cooperative.
All right, so thanks for bearing with me through that video. I want to open it up to Q&A now. We have 10 minutes left. It looks like we're doing the Q&A chat here. So go ahead and throw in any questions you guys got. Let's see here. Okay, our first question. When it comes to video social media marketing for a small business, do you think quantity or quality is more important? You know, that's a great question. I think you have to, again, think about what is your goal. I probably would say if you can have a quantity where there's a consistency there, you know, I think there's something very true to be said about, I used to have a sales coach who said frequency and recency is huge in sales. So I'd rather have you put out, say, one video every month or every quarter of a slightly lower quality than one video in a whole year that's at a really high quality. So hopefully that answers that question a little bit. All right, we've got our next question from Christy here. I'm going to encourage the rest of you guys, go and throw a question. There's no bad questions. I want to have more here. Christy asks, how important do you make diversity in your videos? I think it's a great question. We ask all of our clients at the beginning of every project when we're saying, what's the information you want to communicate? Who is that target audience? And this is twofold. You know, Christy, when you're asking about diversity, there's obviously diversity represented on behalf of the brand or the company who's producing the video. And that's very important. We actually did a big diversity focused video for First Bank last year that was really interesting. And that was about the diversity of their staff and the pride behind the diversity of their staff. So that was a very different video where they were very forthcoming with, hey, look at how much we've focused on diversity as a core value. And that was very much a brand storytelling opportunity for them. Whereas then if that's not part of the request from our clients, we say, well, hey, let's pay attention to your target audience and what diversity means there. And, you know, mainly with commercials, when we're talking about featuring different actors, you know, we say, hey, how can we represent a good diverse mix of people and looks and people of different backgrounds, right? So that's a question and a conversation that we always ask our clients to have with us. And, you know, in full transparency, we asked that to CORE. And, you know, they were very straight with me and they said, hey, Ben, listen, you know, we unfortunately, most of our customers are Caucasian. And it's something that, you know, we've struggled with is how do we find a more diverse customer base and how do we interact with them more and have touch points with them more. So again, some brands are still figuring out how that's part of their greater story, right? Okay, we got another question from Chris here. At a time when people have shorter and shorter attention spans, what are some of the guideposts you are doing to optimize length? such as platform, target audience, content type, etc. What are some others? How do you approach this? So great question, Chris. It's worth talking about that core video real quick. So we didn't want that to be 6 minutes long. The original goal was about 3 minutes. But the stories were so great. We actually interviewed about 6 characters. Those 4, we thought we'd only get 2 or 3 that were maybe dynamic enough to feature in a video like this, but we had 4 really interesting characters that we wanted to spotlight. And what we're doing now as a phase 2 to that project is we're taking each of those character stories and creating separate cut downs of that content. And we use this a bit of an upsell when we bid on the job. We said, hey, if you allow us to go out in the field and spend time with these people, we'll use it for the main video you want to use about the rebranding, but you're going to be able to have content that serves other purposes. So what we're doing right now is creating 60-second individual customer spotlight stories with each of those customers. Because we spent 45 to 60 minutes interviewing each of those folks. You saw just a teeny snippet. So we have a ton of what we would call material still on the shelf that we can pull from. It's going to require no additional shooting. So right out of the gate from that 1 3-day shoot, we created this 6-minute brand storytelling opportunity. We're going to create 4 1-minute customer testimonial stories. We might even be able to then chop those up into shorter social media content. But yeah, Chris, it's not uncommon for one of our customers, typically larger brands, to say, hey, let's make a 60-second spot. And that's mainly what we plan for. That's what we storyboard, because that's going to require the most amount of material and footage. But then we know, and part of our scope, we'll say we're also going to make a 30 from that same spot, and we'll make 2 15s or 1 15. So they now have a 60, a 30, and a 15 that they'll use in different ways. We'll do even a 10-second spot, for some certain platforms. So I think you just got to really think of how can you leverage your content to work for you in different ways. And it really just depends where you're going to show that video. And again, that 6-minute one was really just so they showed that outside to 2,000 people on a huge projection system. All the vendor, it must have been fun. I missed it, but they had, a beer and wine vendor, a food vendor, food trucks, and it was all people that were core customers, that were the vendors as well. And they played that and they rallied around that. And when the video finished, they drove out a bunch of their new electrical crane trucks with all wrapped with the new core branding, and everyone was clapping. So really energetic event there. Okay, another question from Brian. Let me see, we got a few minutes left. What is your take on the effectiveness of short format, such as TikTok, YouTube Shorts? Yeah, I just hit on this. I think it's great. I think if you can tell a story in 5 to 10 seconds, hell yeah, do it. And I think that TikTok's a perfect platform. Again, I have some of my teammates have been encouraging us to get on TikTok for a while. We haven't, but that's just me kind of going, I guess I'm getting old. But I think short format is awesome. I think it makes a lot of sense for brands, but it depends on who your audience is. My audience is typically CMOs and business leaders, and it's very niche. If we were a B2C company and I had actual customers surfing on TikTok, say I sold a product that I knew that a big portion of my audience was on TikTok, then that's a great platform to put your content out there. Anne has a question. Any suggestions on researching my target audience? I'm a visual artist who has only started selling work seriously in the last year, not enough customers to define a target audience. I think then, Anne, your audience should just be anyone and everyone. Sometimes it's hard to define that target audience if you're selling fine artwork, which maybe it sounds like you're doing. Anyone with some money in their pocket is a potential audience for you, right? So let's say 18 to 100-year-olds. And I think that opens up a lot of opportunity to really market yourself in a very experimental way. You can try different things, you can try different platforms and see what works. I just would recommend you don't put too much energy into one platform or to one style of video versus another. Shannon asks, we've created a few small videos for the holidays and milestones in-house with very limited views. We produce B2B service offerings in a niche market. Is there a specific type of video you would suggest we create in this scenario? I think holiday videos, even though they work well for some brands, I think it's more of a B2C type thing. Again, if you have a lot of consumers that are surfing the web on Facebook and they think that's cute that you've done a holiday video, great. But I think if you're doing B2B, I think, again, for lack of a better term, that gimmicky, cutesy stuff doesn't work. I would consider doing something that's more sophisticated, something that's a bit more about brand storytelling, and go from there. And hopefully that answers all your guys' questions. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'd love to chat with all you guys. Give me feedback. Say, hey, Ben, you were blabbing way too much, or I don't like how many times you said, really clean that up next time. But reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you guys, and just connect. You know, I really want to get back to building community as we reemerge out of the pandemic. So I wish you all the best of luck in Q4 and in 2022. And thanks for joining me this morning. Ciao.